When I was a little girl, I started doing magic shows with my family. I used big tricks. Let me know why you're on the show this year and what your dream is. I should put on my own shows in Las Vegas. I get it. Okay, Simon Cowell just made everybody crazy with one statement. That name is Solange Kardinaly. No one can say anything about the girl who used to light up America's Got Talent. She is now at the center of a heartbreaking story. After months of not saying anything, Simon finally did what everyone thought he would do. People would never look at Solange the same way again after hearing what he said. There is a truth about AGT that makes everyone feel bad about what they heard. Let's praise the wonderful Solange Kardinaly. On September 17, 2025, Solange Kardinaly went on the stage of America's Got Talent in a totally different part. She was no longer a hopeful. She was asked to come back as a special guest artist in Season 20's semifinals. Solange Kardinaly returned to the show that made her popular all over the world for the first time since the end of Season 19. She was seen singing with none other than the experienced judge, Simon Cowell, the most important person on this show for a long time. No one knew about this combination ahead of time, and it wasn't presented in any news stories. Everything took place on the main stage where live TV cameras were watching. Simon Cowell only said one thing after the carefully planned show. I was shocked again. He had been on the show for a long time and said a lot of nice things about people. But he had never said something like that to someone who had been through the competition but not won. People were very interested in Simon Cowell's comment right away, not just because of what it said, but also because of who it was about and the unique circumstances of it. During his many years on the show, Simon Cowell almost never said anything that could be seen as unfair. In any case, he didn't add any bad or extra words this time. There's more to Solange than just quick changes. Simon said she changed the whole genre. People said that Solange and Simon's relationship was cold after the end of Season 19. Simon only said nice things about her effort at the time. He didn't say anything about the end result. She came in 4th place and then stopped doing anything linked to AGT for almost a year. The whole scene started over with this comeback. Simon joined her for the guest act. He had put her in the top 4 but hadn't pushed her to win. It had been a while since Simon Cowell had been on stage himself, and his presence made it clear that this wasn't any ordinary show. In Season 19, Solange Kardinaly took the stage as a contestant looking for a chance in Season 20. It looked like she was standing in a totally different way. She was asked to come back, given special tech help and paired with the show's most powerful person. From then on, new contestants in Season 20 also talked about Solange as someone they looked up to. On the official site, more people saw her clippings again. The compilation pieces for AGT put her name back on the list of the best performances of all time. Since then, Solange hasn't been in any other AGT-produced shows or in any TV events. When she showed up, she made a good impression. She stood next to the person who got her to the final round, but she didn't say anything else. There was a reason why they chose to come back at the right time for the playoffs. At this point, the audience was very interested, but the findings had not yet been announced. This time, the look was able to make people feel the most effect that doesn't throw off the program's flow. That was the one moment of the season that I really wanted people to pay attention to. Simon Cowell said it after the show, not to surprise anyone, but to honor someone who deserves to be remembered. After that, Solange Kardinaly's journey could no longer be seen through the eyes of the previous season. It wasn't the numbers that changed it. It was her role on the biggest show in America. Not only did that moment mark a turning point, it also marked the end of a long trip that had been forgotten before the chance to stand on the biggest stage in America. Solange stuck with a road that not many people took for many years, starting with the smallest steps in the dark and without any noise. The first steps we took before the light. She was born in a small town in the middle of Portugal. Her family was involved in the performing arts scene in the area, so she saw small stages, tents, and shows on a small scale from a very young age. She showed up in public for the first time when they were 4 years old in a show that mixed dance and magic. She did not go through a formal training scheme. Instead, she was taught by an apprenticeship and improved her skills by practicing every day. Solange didn't choose traditional types of theater or go to a magic school. She goes in a different way, and her whole performance style is based on being quick, being able to work with live props and being able to change costumes on stage without a background. For this move to work, you have to be able to control every movement very precisely in seconds. That which sets Solange apart is her freedom. Like most acts in her genre, she performs by herself, without a teammate to help her out. Her whole body does everything by herself when she changes costumes. She could move, control the lights, and even use her body to hide the affects. Solange mostly toured Europe from the time she was a teenager until she was an adult. A country. She took part in a lot of art events in France, Spain, Germany, Italy, and some countries in Eastern Europe. Her shows are usually no longer than 3 minutes, but she is very good at timing her movements and music. Arcadio is a manipulation artist from Spain who she worked with during her trip. They were a well-known performing pair at magic events around the world. No matter what, Solange Kardinaly always kept her solo shows as her main goal. She was caught changing costumes the most times in the least amount of time during one of her solo shows at a big magic event in Belgium. Even though she has been working in Europe for a long time, she is not well known in the English-speaking market. People from other countries mostly saw her in short movies that didn't give her a full introduction. So, when she went on America's Got Talent, the public's first impression of her was that she was a pretty unknown person. There is no history behind the artist, no help from the media, and no foreign management team. There is no big record label or agent that has signed Solange. She instead controls her own scheduling and what's on her show. In Europe, before she came to the US, she turned down a number of reality shows because they didn't fit with her artistic style. The unique thing about her first trip is that she didn't use her own feelings in her performance story. Many artists use things like life, family, or the process of getting through hard times as inspiration, but Solange decided to keep the focus on her skills alone. She didn't talk about her past, her plans, or how she felt while she was speaking. There were hundreds of shows by Solange in many countries before she took the stage for the first time at AGT. Still, she had never been in a global TV show before. This was her first time performing on a big TV stage, and everyone watched her every move. Taped and shown to millions of people, it became easier to see Solange's path on the AGT stage once we knew more about her style and where she came from. People in the United States barely knew who she was at first, but as the competition season went on, she became one of the names that stood out the most. A breaking out show that set the tone for everything. Season 19 of America's Got Talent saw Solange Kardinaly join the show. She did a quick change routine with modern music in the first qualifying round. Seconds were used to time how fast people changed outfits. She did it by herself, without help from her co-workers or complicated shielding gear. Both the judges and the people in the studio agreed that the show was over. The 4 judges all agreed that she should go on, and they didn't ask for any changes or say anything about the act. When Solange got to the semifinals, she used both visual effects and manipulating props. The background music was carefully picked to go with the moves, and the changes were made more noticeable. In an instant, the outfits not only changed color, but they also changed how they looked altogether. The whole jury stood up when the show was over. As one of them put it, she's playing on another level. In the semifinal, Solange tried out more complicated moves. She made it look like she was floating in the air by using makeup effects and moving lights. The whole show only lasted a few minutes, but every part of it was perfectly timed with the beat of the music. People in the audience paid close attention to the show because there were no breaks. It was like Solange didn't say a word, tell a story, or show any feeling on stage. She had just stood up to act and then quietly left when she was done. The winner was Solange Kardinaly's. The final act took place on a bigger stage. The background lights and flying confetti were used at the same time as the fast, quick change. Modern, fast-paced music played in the background, making a strong visual effect. After the show was over, Simon Cowell said "incredible" 3 times. In this case, it was one of the few times he gave the greatest praise without anything else. The review did not stop for any reason. After the show, all of the judges stood up and cheered. Solange came in 4th place in the end. There was no sadness or bad feeling in her voice when the news came out. "What